Chainlink price update September 1st. We're right at $23. So we're going to start on the monthly chart. Then we'll zoom in, look at the shorter time frames, but monthly first. That's the most important chart to be looking at for the macro analysis. And then we'll get to the shorter time frame chop that is crypto right now. New month ahead. We're going to get into that as well, what I expect. And if you like the video, give us a thumbs up. If you want more help navigating this cycle, want more educational content, consider subscribing through Patreon. Link below. You get access to our private group. All right, so our line in the sand here for Chainlink, pretty much since first tagging the $20 area, range highs back in the good old heyday of August 2020, just 5 years ago now. The bull market, the all-time highs came back. Look at where we closed. Right? If you're wondering like why this line, it's not so random, right? Back to again the bear market, end of the bull, start of the bear, right? Flip that from support to resistance under the 21-month. Start of the bull run, right? Chainlink explosion. Look where it stopped right there, right? This is a significant level. So are we going to hit this again between now and the end of this cycle? Probably, right? It's around the $20 area. So this month, could we see some volatility down? Of course. The 21-month EMA 8 is right there, just south of $19. We might wick down there. But other than that, let's look at kind of the facts here, right? We just closed our second highest monthly candle this cycle. That's great, right? Obviously. Second highest close. Not only that, but we also closed for the second time ever on this cycle, right? Above the Gaussian channel, right? 1, 2. Okay. Can we get 3? Well, we just have to close above 2060, right? I think we can do that. Closing prices. We have another 30 days, right? Okay. What's the other biggest thing? Well, I'm glad you asked. Let's look at volume. What do we notice for the past 2 years? Let's go back to like 2 years ago, August 2023, right? Where we really started our move higher. End of the fall of 2023. Fall of 2024 also was pretty good. What do you think fall of 2025 should be? Well, probably higher. Okay, first, get that out of the way, right? Profound, I know. But what else do we notice? Look at the volume. How much more buys than sells do we see? People are buying Chainlink. Much more above average, and certainly much more than selling it. All sell volume, except for March of 2024 after our biggest rally. That was the only time sell volume, and it was just slightly above average. That blue line is the average, right? Look how much more buy volume is than sell volume. To me, this indicates people are just profit taking or weak hands. That's abysmal sell volume. Add it all up, how much more sellers than buyers are there? It's non-existent. There's many more people buying and accumulating Chainlink. That's a great thing, right? And I think we're still on the cusp of a bigger move, not only to range highs, but all-time highs. Bollinger Bands, the tightest in history, narrowest on the monthly. Our price action just closed our second highest candle this cycle, above the Gaussian channel for the second time this cycle. All our moving averages are sorted out least to great. They're accelerating, right? Putting some daylight between here. So ignore the noise. Look at what's the facts in front of you, with the volume especially above average. Again, look at that for the first time since our highs again. Really just likely starting us off here into the end of the cycle, into the fall, right? Fall does well. Fall does well. Fall does well, right? Can we see some volatility? Could we come back down? Yeah. Are we likely going to see above average selling? No. Right? Are we going to see above average buying? That's obviously more likely. Okay. So getting the macro out of the way, right? Knowing that the horizon is clear of storms, it's easier to ignore the short-term volatility. So speaking of shorter term, let's zoom in a little bit. So Chainlink weekly. Again, look at the volume here. Much more buys than sells. Now we had a little bit of above average sell volume. That's typical when you start to get through these range highs and break out. As long as we don't start stacking those and multiplying, right? Like last time we did this, right? Above average sell volume, right? No big deal. Just some consolidation. These are healthy moves. Certainly after more than doubling in price in a couple of months, you're going to get some people taking some profit, right? That's okay. All right, let's clean up the chart. We don't really need volume anymore. Weekly Gaussian channel. How are we doing? Well, we're above it, right? Just like we were here. We'd like to not turn it red. Keep some ultra momentum. And all we need to do is really kind of maintain our weekly closes above the EMA 8. And I think we can kind of avoid that. But it's really close. So if we see that turn red again, it's not a big deal, right? We did that back here. We would like to not close weekly candles back in here, though. So to do that, again, we have to close continuously on the weekly basis above 21. So that's what we're kind of looking for this week. No matter what the volatility, even if we wick down in here, it's okay. And if we close down here, it's not too bad either. We'd want to avoid, though, closing back under that macro monthly line, right? I think the bullish momentum stays until then. But we could see a wick down to that 21-week EMA. Previous range highs, our monthly macro line here, and the 21-week is likely going to be kind of right in that area over the next couple of weeks if we, depending on what Bitcoin does. If we kind of consolidate for September, and keep in mind, we don't have to do that, right? Nobody knows what's going to happen. So watch Bitcoin to kind of get the odds. I think we might see a little bit of a bounce this week in Bitcoin to the green side. I know a lot of people are expecting red September, and we might still get it, but I think this week especially, we might see a little bit move higher, and in which case altcoins, Chainlink included, might move a little bit higher. We might see new highs. We might see at least range highs. So keep this in mind, especially with this kind of the macro volume in Chainlink, right? Chainlink could get a little bit antsy here. Anytime it looks like it's trying to hesitate, it kind of comes back. So look back at this last move, a big move up, move back to the EMA 8, the red line, and a big bounce. Especially if we wick down there early this week, we might see a little bit of a bounce. It could just kind of move back to range highs, high 20s, by the weekly close or by, tomorrow. We don't know what's going to happen. But if Bitcoin bounces, you can bet that Chainlink's going to want to do it because it's more bullish than a lot of coins right now, based on the volume as well, right? That's why we started there. Okay, so ignore the noise. No matter what happens, the macro looks great. The weekly looks like it's trying to gather itself, consolidate. Again, just like back here, volumes matching kind of this vibes, right? And it's not like we went, nuke down all the way down here, right? Look at the volatility. Week down to the EMA 8, a major bounce, right? I mean, that's pretty big from 20 to 26. That's 30% bounce, right? You might not remember that, but then what did we do the very next week? We're down 25% again. And then what we do the next week? We went another 30% back higher again, right? A lot of volatility here. There's a 33% high wick to low wick the week after. We're doing 30% volatility weeks, week over week here. So if we did that again this week, there's a high wick. We could go down to here, then end up, wicking back up to here, with a 30% volatility week. I mean, that's not even there, right? We're still under 30% if we go up to 26, 27, and then go down to 19 to test that 21 week. Still typical. Don't get shaken out, right? We are kind of expecting this, right? If you watched any of my videos last week, right, this is part of the W pattern where we should rhyme with this move, right? And kind of continue to mirror. That could see any kind of price action in here, any kind of price action. I mean, look at all these high wicks, right? We could see some more high wicks up here. You got to be expecting some volatility here before we start to see any kind of alt season going into fall, where Chainlink typically does well. Altcoins do well. If you want to be part of the rip, you can't sell the dip. All right? Get it tattooed. Okay, so that's the weekly. Let's move all the way down to the daily, and let's look at the noise here. Okay, so now what do we want to see? Well, now we're starting to close under that 21-day. So that lets a little bit of your wind out of your sails on the bull side, right? We've lost a little momentum here, just like back here again. Doesn't mean we have to cataclysmically fall, but if you can't hold the momentum, right? We're closing lower lows as well. it's typical for at least some consolidative moves. Now, where would I expect to hold? Well, this looks like a good zone to me. We have our 2 range low closes right there, and the lower Bollinger Band, and the 50-day EMA right there. All right there, between 21 to 22-ish, right? So I would think that's a pretty good spot. And give it another couple days, guess what else is going to be there? The top of the Gaussian channel. And range lows, right? Here's that macro monthly line, right? We haven't removed that. That's that macro monthly that we started off with. Keep that in mind. Maybe we see a wick down in there, right? Who cares? Again, that's the volatility we just looked at. That's another 15% lower, roughly. Could we go down there? Sure. Could we bounce up here first and then come down here? Sure. But the more closes we get below the 21, the more likely we're going to stay consolidative in nature. But the Bollinger Bands are pretty close here, signaling a bigger move, signaling more volatility likely just ahead. Low volatility now, right? You can see how the candles are pretty low volatility here. We might see some kind of whipsaw back and forth and just end up back here. We could see a fake out to the upside first and then kind of move back down here and then kind of rebuild, right? Or get the opposite of that, where we kind of move down here and then, start, late second week of September. Everyone thinks like, the bears are coming out. Bitcoin maybe sneezes down to 105 or 108 or something like that again, and then recovers. One of these scenarios, we'll see. We're doing daily updates, right? We have a holiday weekend here in the US, and I'm still updating you. So don't let the shirt fool you. I'm not bearish. We're just on holiday, as the UK says. The Europeans say holiday. I have no idea what that has to do with anything, but this is where we're at on the daily. So we'll end it there. We'll get to our quote and card of the day, and we'll be back tomorrow in our blue flannel. And we'll try to clear up that neon sign a little bit better, a little bit hazy over the focus. I don't know. We'll have to adjust some settings here. All right. Quote and card of the day. A person who won't read has no advantage over one who can't read. Yeah. Same with exercise. If you don't exercise and you can exercise, what's the difference between you and someone in a wheelchair? Make it happen, Captain. Car of the day. Maybe arguably one of the coolest Mercedes ever designed. The SLS. This is one of the few cars where the hardtop is better. It's not even up for debate. You can't argue. Better than the convertible. Why would that be? Staring at you in the face here. The doors. Where are you going to put those doors on a convertible? The doors open regular on the convertible. How dumb. And it's more. How dumb. Okay, this is an amazing car. The carbon ceramic brakes. Sick. These are like amazing in person. I know they don't come across, but I've seen. Have you ever seen carbon ceramic brakes on AMG Mercedes? They're pretty profound. Interior, great. Still, they hold their value like nothing. Like you could literally just you park your money in a SLS Mercedes in a bear market, and if you just take care of it and drive it just a little bit, do your Sunday drives, you could lose no money. There's a huge thing in supercars. People often think like, why would you spend that much money on a car? If you get to this territory, you're not losing money if you do it right. You can buy supercars and drive them for almost nothing. But now, the catch is you do have to have this amount of money up front. So that's the slight caveat. But people that think that supercars are a waste of money obviously have never looked into seriously buying a supercar, because you think rich people lose money? I don't think so. Okay, so here's the SLS. It looks kind of average with the door shut, right? I mean, you just got to drive around like that. I feel like we can't even show you any other part of the car. These look awesome in person, if you ever seen one. They're kind of rare now, though. Hence the price tag. Pretty cool two-tone. I've been in a few of these. Carbon everywhere. They're really nice. And again, like you can, this is 2011 and still 200K. Like they're about that to begin with. Really nice cars. All right. AMGs. I'm a big fan of AMG Mercedes anyway. Feel like tanks. I used to always want an AMG when I was younger. And one of my friends, he always made a joke. You know what AMG stands for, right? And I told him like the proper name, right? It's like the name of the city, right? But and the founders. But he was like, no, it's all money gone. So that's pretty funny. It's kind of accurate. All money gone. All right. There you go. SLS AMG Chainlink. I'll see you on the next one.